Hi, I'm Angie Tarr with Sampson Properties, and we are here in the NVAR studios here in Fairfax, Virginia. And this is,
Franci with Sampson Properties.
and we are going to have a fun, laid-back conversation about Holmes Run Acres, a mid-century modern neighborhood in Falls Church, Virginia. So I wanted to just chat with you a little bit about, because we've met so many people over the years in Holmes Run Acres. And what would you say are the top two things that you hear from potential buyers that they just absolutely love about the Holmes Run Acres mid-century modern homes?
Yeah, great question. It's always the big bank of windows and the ceilings. They love the high beamed ceilings in those homes.
Yes, and the ceilings are so beautiful. Anytime I've ever posted anything about Holmes Run Acres on social media, the constant response is, oh my gosh, I love those ceilings. There is one little con, I would say, about the ceilings in Holmes Run Acres. What would you think my con is?
Don't paint your ceilings white. Even though it does bring brightness into the house, it is a negative from what we hear on feedback. And my own brother had ceilings that were white in his house, and that was the negative feedback I was giving him, was that people didn't like the ceilings painted.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know Holmes Run Acres, this neighborhood was built in the 50s and early 60s. So some of the homes are still original, but a lot of the homes have been updated. Out of all of the homes that you've seen in Holmes Run Acres, what would you say is your favorite upgrade or update or change that someone has made to their home?
Yeah, it's a great
spot.
question because, the 50s and the 60s, it really, they had much smaller bedrooms. They didn't do primary bathrooms. And I think a decent sized primary suite that you can get a king size bed into and a primary bathroom are huge resellers, huge.
Yes.
And especially if they're on the same level as the other bedrooms. I know some people have been able to achieve this by going to the basement, but you get a kick up in price when it's on the same level as the other bedrooms. Just if they have children, it's a concern.
So with Holmes Run Acres, and like you said, they were built in the 50s and 60s and smaller bedrooms, all kinds of things that we walk through the home and we're like, oh boy. One of which was the bathroom on Westminster, which was an original bathroom, which was
a boudoir bathroom, which means that you had a tub and a shower in the middle of two bathrooms. So
you have
a shared item.
Yes, so two toilets, two completely separate toilets, and one tub right in the middle. It was very interesting to see.
It was a great conversation piece, and we appreciate all the neighbors who stopped by and told us how they redid their boudoir bath. It was really interesting.
So you say boudoir. So how many models are in Holmes Run Acres?
So we've got, I would say at this point, the models are all kind of, very few houses are left in their original footprint. We have the Luria, which could be a 1 level or a 2 level. What people don't understand when they come through to our open houses, they think, oh, there's going to be so many more. And I said, no, that's a Luria. It's just turned. And so that becomes part of pricing, is how that house is turned. Are the big bank of windows towards the street, or are they towards the side yard or the backyard? The Gaddy, I call the big sister of the Luria because it feels like a Luria. It's just a little bit bigger, and that extra 2 feet here and there makes a huge difference on the Gaddy model. The boudoir is probably my favorite model, and we have very few boudoirs, and they tend to be very remarkable when you see them because they look like boudoirs. The front of them tends to be the front always. We have a few in there that are a little bit different, but their front is very recognizable. But boy, is this neighborhood gone custom because land has gotten expensive in Northern Virginia, and people are realizing the beauty of that neighborhood. And so we do have a lot of additions going on to those original mid-century modern houses, which is awesome because we'd rather see that happen than the house sell as a tear down and end up with a house that is not complementary to the neighborhood.
So what would you say is a fun fact about the location of Holmes Run Acres that people that don't live in the area, they may not know?
Yeah, so a lot of people come into our open houses and they're just intrigued with the houses in a mid-century modern house since there are so few in Northern Virginia. But when they realize that, we have a park that connects to a bunch of trails and people who are dog people can go take a 2 or 3 mile jaunt with their dog, and that we're so close to Mosaic District, obviously being close to the Beltway, we get a lot of Arlington and DC transplants. And the first question they always have is, how long does it take to get to DC? Which we don't drive to DC because we don't sell DC. So
Never will.
yeah.
I love driving through Holmes Run Acres because every time you go, you will 100% see someone walking their dog. They love dogs in this neighborhood, so I think that's super sweet.
Which makes fenced-in backyards big sellers.
Yes, yes. And having Mosaic District right there, it's one of my favorite places in all of Fairfax County. It's got everything. Target, which is okay, but the shopping and the atmosphere, it's just nice to have that outdoor shopping style area. Super close, yeah.
And back to the backyard and dogs, how many people did we have on Westminster who loved the house but couldn't get past the backyard because it was a small backyard and they wanted a place for their dogs and they couldn't see fencing that yard off any other way. They believed the dogs belonged in the backyard. So we did lose a lot of buyers because of the lot, and we can't do anything about that. The lot is what the lot is.
Yes. And then opposite on Holmes Run, the yard and the fenced yard and what they did with the separation so you could have privacy if you're out there, having a little coffee on your patio. It was genius
drinking
what they did.
coffee. I'm having a cocktail out there.
Or a glass of her white wine. So another fun fact I'd like to, or question I should say, is how did you get involved in Holmes Run Acres?
So my brother Les Powell bought a house on Holmes Run Drive about 37 years ago.
Was it right next door to the one we just
No,
sold?
that was my brother Lindsay.
Oh my gosh. So they both were on Holmes Run?
So I ended up having two brothers in the neighborhood, and I would always stop by my brother Les on the way home and hang out for a little bit. And he was always dragging me down to different neighbors' houses to have cocktails. And so I just one day when my broker was pressuring me to farm an area, which means you specialize in an area, I said, well, I should do Holmes Run because I really like these houses. And one of my very first listings was Lynn Chase's mother's house. And I ended up selling that to my brother Lindsay, who had to wait till the open house to see it, much to his chagrin, because he thought he was going to get a special deal because I was his brother.
That's okay. Okay, so do your brothers still live in the neighborhood?
No, sadly, they both moved. So my one brother actually moved to the islands for a while, and now he is back stateside down in Virginia Beach where all his kids are. And my other brother has a lot of back issues, and he moved into a condo for ease of living.
Oh, well, I'm sure they miss the neighborhood terribly.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed about Holmes Run Acres, there is a pool, but there is no homeowners association. So how does that work in Holmes Run Acres?
So that pool is open to the public, so you don't have to belong to it. But it's a great pool with a lot of good space around it for having meetings and things like that, for book clubs and whatnot. And that, I think, is the beauty of it. You can use it if you've got kids, and then once the kids vacate the house, and if you're not a swimmer, you don't have to maintain that membership.
Okay.
And it's within walking distance, so that's a great asset.
Oh, yes. And Luria Park being there with the basketball courts and the trails, that's so nice, too, if you're not into the pool or wanting that. And obviously, there's no cost to Luria Park. It's a county park. So we did say that there is no HOA in HRA. HOA and HRA. but there is what's called a civic association. Could you explain a little bit about what the civic association
Yeah,
is?
so a civic association is completely voluntary, but I encourage every buyer, and I speak to them at the open houses about the civic association, to go ahead and join. Number one, it doesn't cost much at all for what they are getting for that little bit of yearly subscription. And it really gives you an idea of who lives there. And I often use this expression that the houses are as eclectic as the people. And I think that is the beautiful thing about HRA. It's that it is so many different people that come together. And I didn't realize until I started reading the runners that, how many artsy people, whether they were poets or book writers or musicians, lived within that neighborhood. And it really is kind of what pulls the neighborhood together. And I just think the information that the Civic Association gets out there to its neighbors is what gives it a special neighborhood vibe.
Oh, yes. And about how much does it cost per year?
I want to say it's $35 now, but don't quote me. They may have gone up a little bit,
Yes.
but it's somewhere in that range.
Along with everything else, but that's a conversation for a different day. Well, we just absolutely love and adore Holmes Run Acres and mid-century modern homes, and it's crucial. I know with working with Franci, it's crucial on knowing the models, the difference between the models, what they can do, what their opportunities may be, and where the house can go. And working with us is definitely where you'll get the answers to that.
And part of that is just listening. We do our own open houses, and it's listening to the feedback we've gotten over years and years and years of being in the neighborhood, and listening to the buyers come through and talk about what they love about the house and sometimes what they don't love about the house. But that it's always good information. And, when I get back to sellers and you're giving negative feedback, it's never fun. It's usually expected because when we do our original pricing, we say, here are the pros and here are the things we're going to get feedback on. And because we've been objection handling those comments for years and years and years, and it just becomes second nature to us to answer those concerns from people. And, two of the biggest concerns is people don't understand only 2 bedrooms up and 2 bedrooms down. Yes. And so we're so used to our colonials in this area where all the bedrooms were up on one level. It is a great selling feature when we have houses come up with it like that. But also we let people know that is not typical of Holmes Run Acres. It's a little bit different. It's laid out a little bit different because of the time frame the houses were built.
Yes. So if you are interested in learning more about mid-century modern homes, you have found the right duo. So our numbers are listed below. Call or text us anytime or check out our website.
Awesome. Take care.